Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's Tuesday review video, it's more of a testing video actually because we're going to be trying out the Naked Wild West palette. They've launched a lot of Naked palettes since the last time I bought one. I think the last Naked palette I bought was Naked Heat. And then the only other one I've had before that was Naked 3. And I actually only recently got rid of Naked 3 and I never used it. That's why I finally got rid of it. But this one, I don't know what it is, but something about it spoke to me. Ultraviolet should have been one that I loved. But they just went so boring and pitiful with that one. But this one is beautiful, and I have not tried it yet. Because I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you so that we could try it together. Look at how beautiful it is. So beautiful. And it does come with a brush, like all Naked palettes do. Taking a quick look at it on the Sephora website, this is the Naked Wild West palette. It retails for $68 Canadian. I don't want to talk about it. It says it has matte finish, shimmer finish, metallic finish. It's vegan. I didn't realize that. And cruelty free. What it is, a vegan eyeshadow palette with 12 desert-inspired neutral eyeshadows from pale peach and metallic bronze to deep blue-green and turquoise shimmer. Ingredient callouts. This product is vegan and cruelty-free. What else you need to know? Blaze your own trail with the newest Naked palette featuring a 12-shade lineup of cruelty-free and vegan eyeshadows. From terracotta to deep copper and turquoise green, the shades are inspired by California deserts, Joshua trees, and endless skies. Choose from creamy mattes, metallics, and shimmers that blend seamlessly with the included dual-ended eyeshadow brush. This iconic velvety Naked formula can be used solo or layered to create endless looks. So typically one of my main issues with the Naked palettes in the past is that there aren't enough mattes. This one actually does have a fair amount of mattes, so did Naked Heat. And so I'm pretty excited about that, pretty stoked. I can't promise you that we're going to use this brush. I have my other brushes here. I just think it's a beautiful lineup. They've done a really good job at kind of choosing which ones were going to be matte and which ones were going to be shimmers, which is something I feel like other Naked palettes in the past have done kind of a pitiful job of. They usually include too many shimmers, not enough mattes. So this one is quite pretty. So I was wearing like full eye makeup today because I had to work, but I took off my eyeshadow and whatnot and left my mascara for this video. So if my eyes look a little red, it's because I did have to take my makeup off and then put it right back on like 4 seconds ago. So I was watching Angelica Nyquist review this palette actually, and if you don't know Angelica, she's a fantastic YouTuber. She's been a YouTuber for forever, and she's based out of Sweden, and she's just always been so consistent with having great opinions and speaking her mind, and so great, and it's very much so like old YouTube style content, and she's made it for years, and I just really like her. And she's been really sort of hard on Urban Decay the last couple years, rightfully so, but she really liked this palette too, and I feel like I'm going to end up doing an eye look similar to the one that she did in her testing video, because I just really loved it. So she did kind of orangey in the crease, and then did the sort of blues on the lid. And I'm going to do that too, because I'm not as talented as she is, so maybe it'll help you if, like, my Joe Schmoness does it. Hold on. Before we do my eyes, let's take a look at some swatches. So I'm just going to take this brush, and we're going to start with the shade Standoff that's the sort of the lightest sort of creamy shade at the front here. Another thing I like about this palette is because it's Wild West themed, all of these shades are sort of Wild West named, so unlike other Naked palettes and other things from Urban Decay, these don't have explicit names, so not only can I say them all to you without getting demonetized, my little prude heart doesn't look at them and go, ugh. So that Standoff shade, it doesn't really super show up on my skin tone. I didn't think it would, because it's kind of the same as what I've already got going on. There's a little bit of kick up as I go in with the brush, but I personally don't mind that. Now I'm going to go into the shade, what is that, Laredo? L-A-R-E-D-O. It's this sort of very cool tone brown, sort of right in the middle. I feel like that would actually be a really good contour color for me, to be honest. And that's kind of why I want to try it. I'm just going to use the same brush. And we're just going to put that right in the... Oh yeah, that would be a great contour color. Urban Decay, put that eyeshadow in its own pan and market it as a contour shade. So something that I have always liked about the Urban Decay formula is that it's not... this is gonna sound bad, but it's not very pigmented. So for someone who has a tendency to go a little ham with their eyeshadow, like I just kind of... and then I put it on my face, it's really easy for me to overdo it sometimes. That's one of the problems I had with, like, the Melt Cosmetics eyeshadow palette, because those are pressed pigments, so I kind of get it everywhere and do too much at once, whereas these are a little more user-friendly, a little more beginner-friendly, a little more friendly for someone who's just, like, too much as a person like me. That's one thing I really do like about these palettes. That was a really nice shade. Look, that's... If I was just doing, like, a simple makeup day, I could just put that shade in my crease and call it a day, you know? So, obviously, the matte that I'm sure you want me to try is this Ghost Town one. This sort of reddy, brownie. It looks like it could belong in the Naked Heat palette. So I'm going to see if I can find a fluffier brush. Ah, my good old trusty Vasanti brush. Yeah, there's quite a little bit of kick up with that shade there. That's okay though. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's a thing. Okay, so a lot more color payoff with that one right off the bat than I kind of expected, which is nice. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty. Build it up a little bit. Make it look a little more intense, you know? And then I'm going to go back in with that first brush and attempt to buff out the edges. Man, I've been getting so big with my eyeshadow lately. It always ends up in my eyebrows. And I'm always afraid I'm going to look like, I don't know, like too much. But then I remember who I am as a person fundamentally, and I'm already too much, so, I mean, why fight something that's already there? I am so surprised at how well that just blended out with just this brush. Like, I'll be honest with you, I've struggled with blending shades as pigmented as that Ghost Town shade out before, so if I had struggled here, I would have probably blamed it on me and not on the eyeshadow. But it worked out really well. I do want to take that Vasanti brush again and just kind of dip the very dip of it in this, I said dip, but I meant tip of it in this Pony Up shade, just to really darken up the little outer corner. Like right in there. But not a lot, you know, I just want a little bit of depth. I don't want to lose that Ghost Town shade. Now taking the side of that same Vasanti brush, I'm going to go back into Ghost Town, tap it off, and then use that to just blend the edges of Pony Up. Okay, darling, now for the blue. So, Tex. We're going to put Tex on the outer half of my eyelid. We're going to try it with this brush. We're gonna hope for the best. I have a feeling we're gonna get tons of fallout. So Kick Up on the pan is quite bad, but not worse than the other shades that we've used so far. Okay, Fall Down on my face is quite horrific. I wonder if wetting the brush or using a sticky base would have helped with that. I mean, it looks pretty, but look under my eye. So much for my concealer. I'm gonna try my finger. My fingy definitely gives me a more poppin', even sort of coverage. There is still a fair amount of sort of fallout slash fall down, whatever you want to call it, even with using my finger though. The negative thing is that it'll blend away some of that blue up here. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a different finger and we're going to go into the other sort of shiny blue shade called Bud. Picked it out special for you, bud. And we're just going to put that here. Not as much fall down with this one as with the other matte blue shade, but a little bit still. Then we're going to take my matte finger and use it to sort of blend the two together in the middle. And they blended together fairly easily with just my fingers. I literally had to go get a makeup remover wipe because I couldn't handle my fingers being that dirty. I haven't even wiped the fallout out from below my eyes. We're gonna do that now, okay? Ready? Pray for me. Okay, so you're gonna want to do your eyes first because this is not going away. Dang it, Bobby! Okay, so I've removed the concealer from under my eyes. I look very blue. 9 o'clock at night on a Friday. I just can't leave it like that. Like, how am I supposed to know what the finished product looks like? Okay, now that my under eye situation has been a little bit sorted, it looks a little ridiculous because I've had the rest of my makeup on all day, so it's all like not as bright as it is when you first put it on, but it looks like I have really intense flashback under my eyes. But we're just gonna deal with this. Maybe I'll even it a little bit for you. There, that look better? So I know some of y'all are really into your under eyes, so we're just gonna put something there. I'm thinking the blue? Like maybe we'll just do the blue all the way across underneath. I need an eyeliner brush. Do I have an eyeliner brush? I guess this one counts, even though it looks a little like it's seen better days. And then just to blend that out a little bit, I'm going to take like a little tiny dense brush like this and go into that very first shade Standoff, the one that's basically my skin tone, and just kind of use it to blend this out a little bit. Oh, maybe I'll do like this sort of silvery shade here, Cowboy Rick. We're going to put that in the inner corner. Okay, so I used a lot of shades in this palette. I really only missed out on 3, I think, maybe 4. So I think I can give this palette a decent sort of first impression type review. I would say that this palette, to me, it feels sort of very similar to the formula of the Naked Heat palette, but a little bit elevated. The shades are a little bit more pigmented and a little bit easier to blend, and especially the shimmer shades seem to sort of perform better on their own, like without a sticky base, just applying it with my finger. I will say that this palette definitely has your sort of typical Naked palette fallout, so if you're going to use this palette, just keep that in mind and you don't have your concealer on first like I did, because you're going to end up with a mess under your eyes. Is it worth it sometimes when you have a palette like this? For sure. If I'm going to use this palette, I just need to know that I have to do my eyeballs before I do the rest of my face. That's okay. I don't mind that. But if that's a deal breaker for you, then that's a deal breaker for you. It also does kind of make a little bit of a mess in the palette itself. But again, that's a really easy fix. Do I think this palette is worth $70? No, I don't really think any eyeshadow palette is worth $70, but I like it, and I'm glad I have it, and I think this eyeshadow look turned out really nice, actually. Like, I kind of didn't think I had this in me, if I'm being honest. It looks really quite good. I feel like my hair is taking over everything right now. We'll put it all on one side so that you can really see. Like, I didn't know that I had this in me, but this Naked palette specifically, because it has such a nicer sort of array of colors versus other Naked palettes in the past that have sort of either a boring color scheme or sort of a nonsensical color scheme like the ultraviolet, I think this one sort of really makes sense, and they really collaborate together well, the shades, and you end up with this really, really nice and nicely blended but easy to do eye look for even someone who's kind of an eyeshadow, novice like me. I'm definitely not, nowhere near some of these other YouTubers, and I could do this, so you definitely could. You don't even need a wide array of brushes. You just need maybe a couple of blending brushes and, your finger. Because I found that when you're packing on shades, even if it's a matte shade, it does work better with your finger than it does with a dry brush. I'm sure you could try a wet brush. I'm not a fan of wetting my brushes, honestly, because I feel like it usually affects the quality of the eyeshadow in the pan when you dip back in with a wet brush, so I don't personally like to do that. Some people do. I don't. Everyone's allowed to have different opinions. I'm having a hard time reconciling it because I know that this palette is so expensive, and that's out of the price range for so many people, myself included, if we're being honest. But it is beautiful, and it does look really nice. And I had a very simple time putting this eye look together. It was really sensical. It was really easy. And like I said, if I could do it, you could totally do it, because I don't really know what I'm doing at any time doing anything. So the important thing that you're gonna want to take away from this video is if you were looking at this palette and you do like it, I definitely think it's worth it. If you want to look for alternatives with maybe the same color scheme, I definitely recommend checking those out as well. But overall, I really like what they did with this color scheme, and I hope that there's sort of like other companies sort of cheat and do this sort of the warm oranges and browns and stuff with more than just one single pop of blue. Give us a couple of different sort of bluey options. The inclusion of the matte blue is really helpful, and it's something that I wouldn't have expected Urban Decay to do. I would have expected them to just stick with the shiny blue, but I really appreciate the matte blue. There's a couple of sort of cooler tone shades in here too, like that Laredo, like the pony up at the end. Those ones, you could also just do like a blue eye makeup look using those ones and then the blue shades if you wanted to. You could do something sort of really natural with these ones at the front here. I do think that whereas some of the other Naked palettes in the past, or some of the other just in general Urban Decay palettes in the past have been, as a consumer, they felt like they weren't really well thought through. This one feels well thought through, and this one feels like they took time to put it together, and I just think it's really pretty. And even having used it now, I feel like it's even prettier because it worked out so well and was so easy for me to use. So what I'm saying is, if you have the money and you really want this palette, I recommend it. I think the quality is great. It's better than other Urban Decay palettes that I've tried. It's nice, it really is, but I also don't want you to feel bad if you can't rationalize the cost of $70 for an eyeshadow palette when there's probably going to be other warm eyeshadow palettes out there, and there's probably other blue eyeshadow palettes out there, and you could just get those and create the same thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you do, because that kind of feels like it. I'm just rambling, but I had a point, and I think I made it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this testing / first impression video of the Urban Decay Naked Wild West palette. I think I've given you all my thoughts. Although I didn't mention the packaging, I think the packaging is cool with this sort of orange and blue oil slicky snake skin. It's quite nice. I quite like it. Please don't tell my mom I have another $70 eyeshadow palette. It's between you and me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up and you subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed already, and I will see you next time. Bye!